the Rising Phoenix Business Community Call
Woo!
this morning. We're excited to have you. And I know we're going to have more people jumping on this morning. So our co-hosts this morning are myself, Sandy Corrigan, and
Tom Corrigan.
And
Chuck Blakeman.
So we're excited to have you here. And I think Chuck might want to interrupt. No, we're not going to interrupt because we don't have a funny thing, or do we?
No, I'm going to wait for somebody else to come up
Right,
with
we're
a
going to
funny
wait for
thing.
somebody else. So yeah, so there's a new thing, right? We're always having a bad plan carried out violently in business and life, and especially now. That's one of our phrases at Crankside Group. So from now on, be prepared to share your screen in something funny.
Absolutely.
So Tom, you want to tell us what we're going to do today?
Sure. Couple different segments. We're going to share a couple of visionary stories and just a little to inspire you this morning. Then we're going to have two grand people share about how their business hit the wall like the rest of us and figured out how to shift their thinking and their business to move ahead. We're excited about that segment today. Then we move into what we call bottleneck. Somebody's going to share a challenge, a problem, or an opportunity that they have that they just can't get their arms around. And we're going to ask some clarifying questions and then give them ideas. And then we're going to check in with previous bottleneckers to see if their business has been able to shift based on your input. I think we're going to be surprised by that. And then Chuck's going to give us a quick update about a new version of the Survival Guide that should be coming out here in the next 24 hours. We're in a version 6 already. So if you've been leading on somebody's ultimate guide to how to access cash and it came out 3 days ago, it's already outmoded. If it's a week ago, it's ancient history. So pay attention to that. And then we're going to ask our guests to share what we call a BFO, a blinding flash of the obvious, or a big aha for today, something you can take away from what somebody else shared to apply to your own life. And then we'll end up with a quick reminder about the need for us to be in community and connection. So good show today.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And actually, I'm going to share, since nobody else has. There has been some rumors that Michelangelo's painting in the Sistine Chapel there's some suggestions on it needing to be repainted. So this is one of them.
Oh my gosh. No way. I'm hugging. I'll tell the truth. I hugged 2 friends this weekend when they came over and when they left. So I broke the law. There you go. Anyway, so you might wonder why we called this Rising Phoenix Business Community. Probably most of you know the story about the mythical bird, the phoenix, which lives about 100 years and then settles into a nest of dry twigs and wood. And that nest is lit. And that old version of that bird dies, and a new version, a new and better and more improved version of that bird emerges. And so I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that right now. I feel like there's been a lot of things that have had to go away and change and die. And so I've continually had to keep the perspective that a new, better me is emerging. And so I'm journaling about that. I encourage you to do that as well, to look back and say, wow, it took that for me to change. So there you go.
Awesome. Here's a good funny from Bart. You could be quarantined with a math teacher, you know.
The math teacher?
Yeah, you could be quarantined with a math teacher. It could be worse.
Sorry, all you
Where's that to know
math
to be
go ahead.
quarantined?
Funny. That's challenging.
Okay, so Charles will like this. I used to be married to an arranger, and I remember the days that the same phrase 1,000 times kept being arranged. And I finally said, could you get like one of those plugins, this was a long time ago, with some headphones so I don't have to listen to you arranging the same
Oh, nice.
phrase.
Nice. She's got the cartoon right here. It could be worse. You could be quarantined with a math teacher. That's awesome.
Math teacher.
Thanks for dropping that in.
That's awesome.
Hey, anybody remember when the most famous fire in America happened?
Chicago?
Chicago,
In the
yeah.
Midwest, yes.
October 8th, 1871. At that, and let me go a little history because this is an awesome story. 1840, Chicago was a small town of 4,500 people. 30 years later, 3 decades, in 1870, it was at a population of 300,000. It was the 5th biggest city in America and the fastest growing city. And the reason being was because it was right on the rail lines and the waterways. So it was ideally located. A lot of stockyards there, a lot of growth. It was just because of the location. It was near the center of the country. And because they were growing so fast, they had access to trees. Trees were a great way to build buildings fast and cheap. And they were highly flammable. And we don't know what started the fire, but it started on the city's west side. And within minutes, the blaze roared out of control, tearing through Chicago's business district. The fire was so hot, it created its own fire tornado. And by 3:30 a.m., all hope of saving large parts of the city were gone. Nearly 30 hours later, the fire burned itself out in 30 hours because there was nothing left to burn.
Wow.
Losses were staggering. Fire claimed nearly 300 lives, destroyed over 17,000 buildings, covering almost 3.5 square miles and causing damage of over $200 million. In today's dollars, that would be about 3.8 billion. Roughly a third of the city laid in ruins, and 1 out of 3 people living in Chicago, nearly 100,000 residents, became homeless overnight. So, just a little connection here with how we're feeling and the devastation that we're sensing. Yeah, but the story goes on. All the law offices were destroyed. All the major hotels, all the major department stores, all the major banks were all gone. And so what did they do? To most of the Chicago citizens, the answer was obvious: rebuild, make the city better than ever. There were many victims of the fire, but no sense of victimhood. And so they rallied together. And the banking community quickly rallied. Within 48 hours, 12 of the 29 banks were set up in makeshift facilities. Merchants, small and large, small business owners immediately set up temporary shops. And a local financier, Henry Greenbaum, sent letters to investment bankers around the world saying, now's not a time to pull out, now's the time to invest. The government did not rebuild Chicago.
People did.
People did. Businesses did, small businesses did. Here's the cool thing. They decided to raise the new city from a new product, steel,
awesome.
All things, and actually became a drawing board for the rest of the world on how to build. In 1890, only 20 years after the fire, Chicago population passed 1 million people, become the 2nd biggest city in America. So why is this all important to know? Again, the government didn't rebuild Chicago. Chicago rebuilt Chicago.
Man, that's awesome. That plays right into what I was wanting to talk about this week. Is what I'm getting farther past the grieving process. I had a little bout this weekend for maybe a half hour to probably more than an hour and a half. But like I said, with every one of us, we need to grieve where we've come from. It's real. It's denial to say nothing bad happened. But then we have to begin to figure out, how do we make lemon out of lemonade, or lemonade out of lemons, and how do we use the energy, the Aikido martial art idea? How do we use the energy coming at us to our own advantage, and stop, start looking forward to what we could do. And I frankly am so excited in so many ways. It isn't going to be easy. Let's be honest. We're going to slog for a little bit here, but I can't tell you how excited I am. I keep thinking of those 2 words that define, or 2 sentences that defines everybody's lives. One is, I can't do that. And the other one is, how do I do that? And off you go. 2 people with the same circumstances end up in entirely different places because they took a different tact on the same circumstance. So circumstances don't make us who we are. How we respond to them does. We've got an opportunity here that's incredible. I was just mucking around with some of this weekend. Nothing stirs American ingenuity like a bad economy. Did you know that more than half of the companies on this year's Fortune 500 list were founded during a recession? The next business breakthrough could be yours or mine. Here's some great stuff that was put together in recessions. The world was a dark place, in my opinion, before 1930, and not just because of the Great Depression. Until that year, no one had ever eaten a chocolate chip cookie. Ruth Graves accidentally created the recipe while baking for her guests in her Toll House. She ran out of baker's chocolate while making cookies and had to settle for cutting a chocolate bar into pieces. She just assumed it would melt into, you know, kind of all throughout and make just a big chocolate cookie. But instead it hardened into tiny chips, and her recipe eventually became the Nestle Toll House cookie. We got chocolate chip cookies because of the Great Depression. Monopoly was created in 1934. The best-selling game, board game ever, was inspired by the recession itself, and Charles Darrow came up with Monopoly. Adolf Coors opened his first brewery in 1873 in the Panic of 1873. And we've got Coors beer because of that. The incandescent light bulb, Twinkies, Diet Coke, lots of other stuff, and much bigger things than that. The iPod was invented, was actually released 2 weeks after 2001 or 9/11. Just incredible what we're going to see. I think we're going to see things that we could have never have imagined come out of this recession. So we need to be thinking that way. And I have a question for you. I'd love you to put this in the chat box as we go here today. What products or services do you think might come out of this crisis? Yours or somebody else's, in general, strategic stuff, tactical stuff. What products or services you think will come out of this crisis? Let's put those in the chat box and let's publish that on social media today. I think that'd be a lot of fun to just give people an opportunity to think about the good things, along with the grieving and along with all the devastation. Let's think about what could and what might come out of this. What can you come up with? What can others come up with? Let's get our crazy hats on and let's think about that. And let's fill up the chat box with those. Okay. Thanks.
That's awesome. Thanks, Chuck. Good reminder.
I was just thinking about the last Great Recession, Chuck, and we had this total slow in real estate, but then we had our best year ever. You started three to five clubs out of that time, and you had something like what, almost a 500% growth.
Yeah, we started in late March of 2007, or I'm sorry, late 2007. And in 2008, we were just really getting started when everything crashed. And we grew 409% from 2008 to 2011. So we got invited to the recession. I remember telling people multiple times we got invited, but we did not RSVP because we knew everybody going to the recession were just going to be sad. They're going to be bummers. We just didn't want to be around people like that. So we did not RSVP. And we've got to have that attitude this time. Do not RSVP for this recession.
Great.
Don't buy in. Hey, each week we spotlight one or two business owners who have made a shift or a pivot. I'm excited to introduce both those people today. The first one is Alex Allison, who's the founder and CEO of D. Alexander. A lot of you don't know of him. You will. He's really well known in the real estate investing market across the country and has become a mentor to other people. D. Alexander's byline is elevated hospitality. And D. Alexander is the first owner-operated home hotel collection. And they've reinvented the sectors of lodging, hospitality, and home rentals to provide groups and families the high quality, consistency, and amenities of a hotel, but with the value and benefits of a single family home. You just rolled this out last year, Alex, and then we're faced with the challenges we are today. So fill in some blanks for us. Tell us just a real brief, history about rolling out your new company, and then we'll talk about the shift.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for having me. So Alex Allison here, D. Alexander. I'm here in Denver, Colorado. So we rolled out our company officially in August of last year. Now we've been working on it behind the scenes for about a year and a half prior to that. But in August, we started buying our first set of homes, which we refer to as destination homes. And those homes have an elevated hospitality look and feel from home to home and market by market. So we started rolling out our business in August, and which meant we were acquiring homes, bringing those properties online, bringing them up to our brand standards, and then welcoming guests. So starting January 1 was when we officially started marketing our entire portfolio online and attracting guests, in which we had, prior to the virus hitting, we had about 2,500 destination seekers, or guests is what destination seekers is what we refer to them as. We had about 2,500 individuals that were registered to stay with us over the course of the next 12 months.
Wow. That's a bunch. So you were just really ramping up.
We were, and there's a high degree of seasonality within our markets. So, into February, early March is when we start to see peak rental season increase, which meant that we were approaching 100% occupancy around March 10th, which is when we started to see the impact of the virus.
Incredible. I bet that pushed it back on your heels a bit with the announcement of the restrictions.
Yeah, so a combination of factors. The way that we acquire our customers is primarily through the online travel websites, Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, Expedia, and the likes, in which we don't always have a direct relationship with our customers until they walk into our homes or until we interact with them. And around that time in mid-March, we started to hear feedback from our community, and we recognized a number of interesting trends and insights. One of those trends and insights is our community came to us and said, they said, I'm off work for the virus. Well, it started out with them saying, I have 2 to 4 weeks where I'm off work for the virus. So I want to come isolate myself in your home because I feel like I'm going to be more isolated and in a better state of mind than I otherwise would be in my own home, because I'm not used to working around my family 24/7. And a few days after that, we saw a shift, and that shift was driven by a combination of factors. One being an executive order that the governor issued, which stated that individuals weren't allowed to travel and stay at short-term rentals that were under 30 days. However, they could stay in hotels. And the second factor was one of the large online travel agencies issued an email which to their customers, which are our customers as well, which basically said, hey, your cancellation policy is void, so feel free to cancel whenever you choose. And when that happened was when we saw a shift across our community, in which we saw cancellations start to take effect, which we hover below 1% cancellation rate. And so that was an experience that we had never experienced, cancellations of that magnitude that quickly within a 12 to 24 hour period. So the first week for us, we really spent servicing our customers. We looked past growth. We looked past welcoming new guests, and we focused on the customers in front of us, because we had a responsibility to those customers.
And would you say that again? You focused on what?
We focused on our customers for the first week, and which meant that we didn't try to sell. And combinations of reasons, but one of the primary reasons is we felt like the right thing to do was to focus on our customers. They had invested in us, and we had a responsibility to them. And what we quickly realized was that those individuals that booked through online travel agencies who we otherwise hadn't interacted with, we didn't have a relationship with those individuals like we did those that had stayed at our properties previously. So it made it challenging to have the consultative type of discussion that we would have liked to have with a primary customer, and that we didn't have the relationship. So we went back to the drawing board after the first week, and some of the activities that we deployed over the course of that first week were things like enabling our customers to move their stay, which typically that's very hard to do because we run at 80 to 90% occupancy over a 12-month span. So traditionally it's very easy to do, or it's very difficult to do, but given that we were very early on in the company's life cycle, we had availability 12 months out or 8 months out, so we could enable individuals to move their stay. In parallel, some people they wanted a credit. because they didn't know when they would be traveling next. So we created a D. Alexander refund policy, which incorporated a credit that was equivalent to the full value of their stay, in which they could use at any time. They didn't need to book their property. We would upgrade them in the event that the property that they stayed at wasn't otherwise available. And we deployed a number of other methods, such as new policies around how we clean our properties. Fortunately, our homes were already significantly above industry standard due to our hospitality branded approach. So yeah, we deployed a number of tactics, and then after that first week, we took a step back and we said, what are we hearing? What are we hearing from our community, and what are their pain points? Are their pain points, consistent with what we thought they were 4 weeks ago, or even 2 weeks ago? And what we realized is they weren't. Their needs changed, and we had to change with them if we wanted to survive. Or if we wanted to thrive over the next 10 years.
So you changed the description of your properties.
We did.
What are you calling it now?
So we created an offering called Destination Isolation. And Destination Isolation is for people that are otherwise in close proximity to one another and that want to get away, to isolate, work, and live, and play, and chase whatever they want to chase in life for a term of 4 weeks to 3 months or more. And that was a function of recognizing, one, short term, that people needed to isolate. And it's a pretty controversial topic in which, there's 3 ways to fight this virus, and we're in a fight. We're in a war against a virus. There are 3 ways. One is stay home and isolate. The second is testing, isolating the virus once you get in testing to ensure that those that are infected stay in a remote place, or to ensure that those that aren't infected don't get infected. And the third is health and wellness. Like when we get this virus, there's only the way that you fight it is through having a healthy immune system. So maintaining health and wellness and reducing stress. Stress is one of the biggest drivers behind, driving down your immune system. And these are stressful times. Outside of the economic factors and just the impact of the virus, being at home with your family and your kids when you otherwise haven't been used to that, and trying to work when your home isn't designed and equipped to work, that's stressful. That's very stressful. And right now, health and wellness is equally as important as isolating. And when we break down what the intent of isolation is, it's intended to keep you from one another. And some individuals don't have a home where they can isolate effectively for long durations of time. And what we realized was that this is not a 2-week isolation period. It's not a 2-month isolation period. The virus is going to be around for a long period of time, and in parallel, it's going to trigger a change in the way that society works, the way that society thinks, the way that society travels, in which we believe that destination travel is going to change for the future. And this was a forcing function behind a wave that was already otherwise happening, in which 5 years ago, people were transitioning more to focus their travels around experiences. And I attest a lot of that to Instagram, enabling people to share magical moments when they were otherwise away. And over the course of the last couple years, we've seen a radical shift to working remotely. And I saw this in my past venture, in which I come from the tech space, and our last venture was acquired by Zillow Group, Zillow, the search app, and they have an amazing work-life balance.
Alex, this is incredible stuff. We could go on all day. I'm sorry, we got other people we got to put up here, but I love you with the way you're innovating, the way you're chasing this rabbit. It's so cool. Love for people to connect with you on it and see how they can help get more ideas on where they're going as well from this. Very cool stuff, man.
Thank you.
So Alex, we would you put some information on how people can find your
Yeah,
company?
absolutely. And you can email me directly, alex@stadyalexander.com. Our website domain is stadyalexander.com.
And if you could would you put that in the chat box? So
Yeah, just put it in the chat box.
I will.
Yeah.
Be awesome. Alex, we so appreciate your innovation and challenged us to pay attention to our clients and shift. You're modeling that for the rest of us and leading the charge. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's changing by the day. I would just, we're continuing to adapt and iterate, and that's where we're focused. So thanks.
Very cool.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Our next spotlight guest this morning is Charles Denler, who has created a fusion of classical and modern composition that's been heard all over the world. You probably have heard Charles' music without maybe even knowing it, because he's created 200 film and television scores that have won him 3 Emmys, or in his recordings that have won him worldwide acclaim, including his latest Wild Mustang Suite. I was actually playing some of his music in the background as we were waiting. That suite has over 12 million plays on SoundCloud. Charles is also the director and professor of composition and music production and engineering at Colorado Christian University. And the COVID lockdown put a huge twist in his ability to get face-to-face with his clients, his students, obviously, and do what he does best, and has pushed him into a period of shift. So welcome, Charles. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Woo!
Good to be here.
Boy, I love your music. I've been playing lots and more since I found you. And you might want to, and Charles is going to put his contact information in the chat box for us as well.
And he lives in your neck of the woods, Chuck Blakeman.
Yeah, very cool. So tell us how you shifted here. I'm excited to hear.
Well, I would have to look historically at. I started my business. I started scoring with National Geographic in 1998. Didn't quit my full-time job. I was working as a recording studio engineer. Quit my full-time job and started my new business on September 10th, 2001. Which, if I look back, I think my career has been a series of reinvention and sort of reevaluation, looking at marketplace strategy and constantly reinventing myself. So at that moment on September 10th, 2001, I had no idea what was going to happen on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, all of my clients disappeared. After September 11th, they completely disappeared. All of my Discovery Channel projects disappeared. Everything disappeared. And so, I sat there, and this was in Marlborough, Connecticut at the time, really wondering what was next. And then all of a sudden, I started writing music for 9/11 documentaries. The first one was with Richard Dreyfuss, a documentary called Unsung. And I had to reinvent my business. And then we moved out to Colorado in 2004 and started reinventing myself here. And then in 2008, the market dropped out again. And so I sat there looking at my mortgage and wondering what we were going to do. The film market completely dropped out. And at the same time, the Writers Guild decided to go on strike. So when the Writers Guild went on strike, they were trying to sort of monetize the market. But at the same time, what they did is they shut down television and scripted movies. And so I began sending emails. I think that year we sent over 17,000 emails to directors and producers. And something emerged in the market at that point, which was unscripted television. Reality television was the sort of the market reaction. And so suddenly we ended up with all of this reality television because they didn't need screenplays. So I had to reinvent myself. Within a year, I received an email and literally had no work, zero work. So received an email from Film Music Magazine, and somehow we had landed the place of I had the most upcoming film and television programs of any composer in the history of film and television, because we dug in our heels and I reinvented myself. And the way I'm looking at the market now, when Tom mentioned Wild Mustang Suite. The music market is changing constantly, constantly. The way to monetize the market is constantly changing. What worked yesterday absolutely doesn't work today. When Wild Mustang Suite came out, within a month it had, as Chuck mentioned, Tom mentioned, it had 12 million plays. Now, 12 million plays in the 80s or the early 90s, because we still had iTunes and people were actually paying for music and actually buying music and actually buying CDs and downloads, would have been about $5 million gross receipts to my company. My check after over 12 million plays was 1 penny in 2018. So again, I've had to look at the market and think, well, where is the market going? If people aren't actually paying for music anymore, if they're listening to music for free, how do I reevaluate the market? And this is something in my music business classes I talk with the students about a lot, is that constant reevaluation. Now the market is starting to come back. Things are changing because of the Music Modernization Act that President Trump signed last summer. Things are going to be, there will be a standard wage that musicians are going to be paid on Spotify, on Pandora, and Apple Music and such. So constantly reinventing myself. And now with COVID, there's another reinvention. And one of the benefits I'm seeing as a composer, I mean, certainly a lot of the investment money and capital behind my films and documentary has dried up for a little while. But something interesting that has happened is I've always taught students, I've always had students in my studio to learn piano or composition. And suddenly I'm teaching students like in Finland and all over the world. I'm teaching students from literally all over the country virtually. So there's a new market that's sort of opening up for teachers, which is really interesting. And then of course,
are you teaching composition or piano, or what are you teaching?
I teach both composition and piano. And composition is remarkable because of Zoom and the share screen feature. If they're working on a program, which they all are, a digital performer, whatever sort of sequencing program to write and compose, we can share screens and I can actually get into their program and really talk to them at a level that I couldn't before. So I'm seeing incredible benefits from the teaching standpoint. But I am, like the rest of you, trying to figure out, okay, what does monetization look like in the next few months? And I am working on a PBS documentary and a commission for a children's symphony. But beyond that, I honestly, I'm not sure. But I know that I will be reinventing myself again. And that I know for sure. And I'm okay with that. I guess I'm used to that after 20 years.
Well,
That's awesome.
thank you for being a champion for reinvention. I mean, that's really what's on all of our plates right now. And thanks for leading the charge. I'm so glad we got to talk, and thanks for joining us this morning. And we'll check back with you, see how that's progressing.
Yeah, with so many people with more time on their hands and picking up lost dreams, it might be a perfect time for you to get even more students, right? People who used to play piano, or people who want to get more proficient at it. So thank you. Thanks for bringing the arts to
And
bear.
Can we get
Carl,
job
if not, make sure you give us your contact information, right?
Will do. Will do.
Put it in the chat if you would.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We move into bottlenecks.
Yeah, so we've got two people that did bottlenecks in the past on the call today.
Awesome.
Marla Wells and Kim Beaver. And bottlenecks, again, for those that are unfamiliar, are opportunities where we get to share an issue, a challenge, or an opportunity and be able to get the wisdom of crowds. So Kim Beaver, if you're on the call, if you'd unmute and talk to us briefly. You did a bottleneck here and in our 3 to 5 club this week. And I hear you've made quite a shift. So share with us, please. I know she said she was going to be here.
Yeah, it's all right. Just are you unmuted, Kim?
Or Megan, maybe you can unmute her.
Hit your space bar. Try that.
Well, I know she was watching grandkids, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to move. Maybe she'll come back on. We're going to move. And Megan, maybe you could put in the chat box, hey, Kim, let us know when you're here. So the beauty of technology, right? So Marlon Wells is also a member of one of our 3 to 5 clubs. And those are, for those of you who don't know, business owners that get together. Now it's all virtual and work on their business together in community. We have content, we create deep connection. And so Marlon had a couple opportunities to do a bottleneck. And Marlon, will you share quickly what your bottleneck was and how you shifted because of the suggestions you've gotten from our Wisdom of Crowds?
Sure. So my bottleneck was really how to shift in the changing environment and how we can take, I have a print company that does just about everything branding. So mostly clothing items, screen print, embroidery, signs, banners, different things like that, business cards. We have a physical location, and the stay-at-home kind of put the kibosh on that. So we've just been trying to figure out how to do some things differently in order to continue to thrive during this time. The bottleneck was how to do that, what direction to move in, how we could kind of provide some things remotely for people since they're kind of stuck at home as well. So some of the things that came out of that were, some really kind of experiences in a box where people could, get some physical items delivered to them, and then do a Zoom meeting and have celebrations such as, birthdays and anniversaries and things like that. Not quite as good as being in the same place, but, still an alternative during this time. There were mentioned, so that we're still, kind of trying to figure out how to launch. But one of the things that did come out of one of the bottlenecks as far as, new things that are necessary now is, the whole face mask thing. A lot of people want to wear them. Some people are seeing that they're going to need to wear them to go out and do anything in the coming, weeks and months. So we had been getting, even before that, we had looked at getting some from our suppliers and seeing if we're able to print on those. So we did get a shipment in. It was just a small sample shipment, but I just posted a picture up on Facebook wearing one that I had decorated. And I got a slew of email and text messages and Facebook messages, and just from every resource that I have, messages about, can you put my logo on that? Do you have this for, can you make it for this organization? So that's one thing that had, boom, we had just a couple of hundred masks that came in from one supplier. We have other ones coming from other suppliers, but those couple hundred, went pretty quick within a couple of days. And then, we were able to test it out, see how we're able to decorate those. And, we've been able to get those to a couple of different companies and organizations. And I think I can.
Hey, I heard you were in an Apple store because your wife had to get her iPad fixed, and you got some orders right in the store of people who wanted their logos on stuff. Is that right? Did I get that right?
That is correct. So I was in the store, I was waiting. I wasn't doing anything. And I hadn't really expected to, launch that yet. But, it just seemed like, a good picture to post. And it wasn't planned at all. That was kind of a testament to getting to market no matter how it is. I didn't think that was the right or best way to do it. Hadn't even really configured our pricing. I just posted it. And, within about 10 or 15 minutes, I had probably 30 or 40 messages saying, I'm going to need some of those, can you put my logo on it? Where can I get them? How can we connect? So
that's good. That's so good. You're modeling one of our favorite slogans in 3 to 5 clubs. It's a bad plan carried out violently. It's just get moving and correct as you go. And I appreciate how you've done that, Marlon. You've taken some of those ideas and gone to market and increased your market. So well done. Thank you.
That's awesome. So I guess Kim is on. So Kim, thank you, Marlon, put your contact in the chat box so we can all get our personally branded face mask. We might wear them after the virus, right, as our branding. Kim, if you would jump on, there you are. She's doing all kinds of grandmother and business owner things. That's the happy there. So Kim, explain quickly what your obstacle was and how you shifted and what's going on, if you would. Kim Beaver.
Well, we have a women's boutique, so we sell clothing. And ours are a little more, our lines are depending on what you buy, the different lines, because they come from smaller manufacturers in the USA and Canada. You kind of have to try on the clothes. It's not just everything's the same. So we really don't do a lot of online selling. If our customers know what brand, what size they wear in their brand, then sometimes they'll call us and we'll pop something in the mail, like a pair of jeans or something. But really, it was when we closed down and we didn't have any other sales going on. So the bottleneck was basically trying to figure out how to do something that wasn't necessarily online sales, but at least moving productively in a direction that, you know. So I am not one of those that likes to be on video. And everybody was unanimous. Everybody kept saying, you have to go online. You have to do some videos. You got to keep people interested. And so the first thing that we did was I posted on Facebook and on Instagram. We did a contest to say, the name of my store is Skadoodles. It's Skadoodles Boutique. So we said, show us your Skadoodles. And if you posted a picture on Instagram or Facebook of you in a Skadoodles outfit, we would put you in a drawing for a $100 gift certificate for Skadoodles. So that way you could either order something or when the store is back open again, because we're having faith that that's going to happen. And so that's the first thing that we did, just to get things moving and to make it kind of fun and not ask people to spend money right now, but to at least get their attention. And it kind of was a fun thing for anybody who had bought something from the store before. Then the next thing I did was I said, well, I'm still uncomfortable being in front of the camera, but one of my really good friends who always shops at my store, people always ask her where she gets her clothes. She's great at talking in front of people. So I convinced her to join me. And this week we're going to start some videos where we're showing, I had pulled up online some of the do's and don'ts for what you should wear after the age of 40, and put some outfits together. And maybe if we had something on sale, then put it with some other items to show how that top can go 3 different ways with pants or shorts or whatever. So we're going to start those videos. And so there we go. I had all kinds of great ideas and thrown my way. So it really got my mind going.
Awesome. That's awesome story. And I had posted, I don't have anything from there.
I know.
But then send me your list of what you like and we'll show you some things and then you can come pick them up and try them on. So I'm looking forward to my own personal Skadoodles fashion show that I'll do on a Facebook Live so I can help her sell some stuff. So all kinds of innovation. Thank you guys.
Hey, Kim, thanks for stepping out of your comfort zone and going for it. We think you're going to reap great benefit.
Yes. So
well, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody's input stuff. So I hope I can be helpful to somebody else as well.
Well, we're going to give you an opportunity here in just a moment.
And so
thank you.
Okay.
Contact information in the chat box so everybody can find you. And we're going to actually do a bottleneck online. So Sam Taggart is on our call. And Sam, if you would just unmute yourself, and here's how bottlenecks work. We give you a minute or less to describe your issue, problem, challenge. We're going to do 2 minutes of asking you some questions and about 3 minutes of raining ideas on you. And Sam knows how this works because he's a good bottlenecker. So Sam.
So
can you hear me?
This only works if all of you join in after Sam gives us an explanation. Thanks, Sam.
And you can jump in when he's done or put your questions in the chat box also. So Sam, I'm timing you. Start.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right. So beginning this year, I transitioned. I used to do software engineering and I switched into doing in-person workshops and coaching. And that is not working so well right now. I had several classes scheduled for April, which are still actually going on. I got some people to come and I'm going to try and do them over Zoom and see how that works. But I had one in July that got canceled because it was up against a conference. And so the conference got canceled. So my question is trying to move to online classes and shorter classes because people don't have a lot of money to spend on training right now. So it's easier to get smaller things approved. So I'm trying to take my multi-day workshop and break it into some chunks and put it on some sort of online platform like Teachable or something. And I guess my ask is just anybody who knows anything about that, any advice, any ideas. My plan is I have slides put together, but I figure for online stuff like that, just giving slides out is probably not the best way to go. I probably want to do some kind of video thing, but how to get that up and running and out the door, preferably quicker rather than waiting for it to be perfect. So, I mean, part of it, I think, is just
We're going to
getting off my
jump
butt
in
and
and we're going to ask you
Thanks,
2
Sam.
minutes of questions, okay?
Yep.
All right. So you guys can unmute yourself and pop in, and you can also throw stuff in the chat box.
Yeah, make sure you're part of this.
Sam, are you doing one-to-one or doing is it group classes?
Well, I would like to do group classes. The ones in April, only one person signed up, and so I'm just doing it. Normally, I probably wouldn't do it for one person, but given the fact that I don't have a whole lot of other income coming in right now, it's a good chance to try out the Zoom thing and see how it works. And if it works well, then maybe I'll try and just do that from now on. So,
have you thought about doing your pricing on a sliding scale or like a pay what you can?
no, I have not.
I think that, oh, sorry, that's not a question. Go ahead.
Well, just to clarify that though, my customers tend to be larger companies, so I'm not sure that the price is necessarily the problem. It's just budgets getting cut all over and like just not wanting to spend any money on training, I think is probably more an issue.
Sam, someone asked, what is your topic and what's your target audience?
My topic is software engineering, and my target audience is people who program using a particular programming language called LabVIEW. So they're like scientists and engineers who are working, testing stuff on like the end of a production line, or maybe doing like prototype testing, something like that.
Tim, do you have any stock footage of past events that you've done?
I do have some stock footage. The problem is most of it is crap stock footage because I go and I present at some conference and somebody films it from the back of the room and it kind of looks like crap, or it's like me filming Zoom stuff. So none of it's very good.
Have you thought about refocusing to software development during an online environment?
That is something that I have thought about. So a lot of the stuff that I do or people I work with, they involve hardware. So I thought about doing something on like simulating hardware and how to like write code without having the hardware right next to you. So that is on my radar.
Great. And now we're going to jump to suggestions for Sam and give him 3 minutes, and he can't talk. You can put him in the chat box or just shout him out and he's going to take some notes. Okay, so Matt Whedon said, Sam, let's you and I talk online. I'd be happy to share what I've done with online course building. Too much for the short window. So, you know, Matt, stick your contact information in there so Sam has it.
This is Connie Ellefson. I would say your software engineers probably don't care whether it's good quality or not. Because I'm an engineer and I don't care. I just want to get to the facts. I don't do software, and then there was a guest a week or two ago on this program that specializes in turning yucky footage like you talked about when you're far away, they could turn it into something that looks like a close-up excellent.
Yeah, Kimball Productions, Tom Kimball.
Yeah.
Kimball
Yep,
Productions.
That's
Great
good.
idea.
Thank you.
Have you created partnerships with software companies that you can go to and sell your products directly to them?
He can't respond.
So that's a question.
Oh, okay.
That's
Sorry.
all right. But that's a good idea.
Go do that.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
give it to
go
him
do
as
that.
Go do that.
give it to him as a statement.
Rob Stigman says, check out similar courses already on Udemy, Teachable. I mean, there's a number of courses out there, so you guys could pop in the chat box what you love best in terms of online courses. Mighty Networks.
Tom Kimball Productions has put his contact information for you. He can fix your crappy footage for you. Any other ideas for Sam?
Yeah, Sam Boric here. Don't know if you have a current database of companies that you've worked for, but it might be a great opportunity. Just send out a questionnaire in light of current circumstances. Are they thinking outside the box, or is there any way that they could add a service that you haven't thought about? But what I mean is come together with the people that you've worked with a sense of community to try and resolve what perhaps may be your challenge, but may also be their challenge.
Great. There's another brilliant idea from across the pond in Ireland. Thank you.
Tom
And
Fanning,
Sam,
a longtime colleague as a DIA vendor, has never set a price. She's always had her staff say, please pay whatever makes you happy. She's been in business in 2 national airports for years, Executive Shine. So maybe this is, what are some stuff you give away? What are some, just be open to, like, what can you pay? You might be surprised if people pay you more than what you ask for.
Sam, since you do for the scientists and engineers, and all of them are getting paid, and all of them are still in business because everybody I talk to, they're still busier than ever. So I think I would seriously reconsider Zoom, offering classes through Zoom, because it works pretty well.
Great. Okay, so we're done. You can put more suggestions in the chat box if you'd like. Thank you, Sam. Make sure you're on the call next week so you can report back and tell us if you implemented any of these suggestions. Okay, thanks, man, for being courageous.
And thanks to all of you who gave him ideas. If you would like to sign up to be featured, either you have a story of shift or pivot, or you have a bottleneck, just go to risingphoenixbusinesscommunity.com, scroll down to the bottom, and you can enter your information and story. And we'd love to get you on with us in one of the coming weeks.
Sam,
Chuck,
can you?
you have an update on the survival guide for us?
Yeah, just real quickly, we put this out 2 Fridays ago. We're in version 6, will be published later today. The Survival Guide is something you can get to by going on to risingphoenix.com. Megan, if you want to put that up while I'm talking, that would be great. And show them how to get a hold of this thing. But risingphoenix.com, or risingphoenixbusinesscommunity.com rather. And if you haven't already signed up for it, there's some really big updates coming up, but we don't want to get into these because this is an international call, and a lot of this stuff is going to be national today in the U.S. But some very major developments for funding and for other things related to how to thrive in this economy. So click on that downward on that button, and it'll take you to the bottom, and just put your email in there, and we will send this to you every time we do an update. We're on version 6, and it's been like 12 days. So you get the understanding of this. Yeah, that's actually going to be version 6. We're going to change that, but it's remarkable where we're at and how quickly this is moving and how fast things are getting updated. So this is the only guide I'm aware of for how to deal with any kind of funding out there, as well as all kinds of other ideas on how to get through this thing and to actually thrive in it. It's the only one I know that's being updated on a regular basis. The rest of them have to go through legal departments and all kinds of lawyers, and by the time they come out, they're irrelevant in their very first version. So we don't have that nonsense. We're just putting on there, make your own decisions, be an adult. This isn't financial advice, but it is the most comprehensive guide you're going to find for this stuff. So get it, share with your friends, have them sign up for the updates as well. It's probably going to be a few more months of very rapid turn on this stuff.
Thanks, Chuck. Really appreciate it. By the way, you've heard us mention 3 to 5 clubs multiple times. They are in several countries. We facilitate several. Sandy and I do. Chuck facilitates as well. We are opening up 2 brand new groups for people that are around the world, so they're not geographically located. If it doesn't matter where you're at, as long as the times work. One will be in the morning, one will be in the afternoon, Mountain Time. But if you'd like to join us, please send us a note at grow@3to5club.com. That's the number 3, 2, TO, number 5, club.com.
Or you can put it in the chat box. Just put your email in contact, and we'll contact you and get you in. You can come in and visit as a guest and see if you want to be part of that. So another thing we told you when you gave us your email to get the Survival Guide is we would never sell you anything or spam you, and that is still true. So don't worry about giving us your email. In that vein, however, we have another offering. So it's a free offering. Again, not an opportunity to sell you anything or spam you, but we know that a lot of people are living in fear right now, which is one of the big reasons we decided to start this every Monday, is to combat that and help us actually thrive, not just survive and move ahead. So Jim Martini, who's on our call this morning, on Wednesday from 3:30 to 5 is going to guide us through a teaching on the 5 levels of pain in the brain, and then give us personal tools that we can use every single day to combat that. And I will tell you, I was on a call with Jim on Saturday night where he did this and have already begun to implement this. And those of you who know me well know that I've had some fear in riding my horse, but it's really important to me. And I valiantly and successfully and courageously rode my horse this weekend. And all I could think about was this question in the tool, which is, you know, how big this is for me. And I noticed the shift in my brain, and I wasn't nervous and all that. So be on the lookout. We're going to send you this email. Certainly just an offer. Feel free to invite other people. But it's going to be really powerful and impactful in terms of you moving forward and keeping your peace and helping others do that as well.
Please join us this Wednesday, April 22nd from 3:30 to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. You have to make the adjustment, but it's going to be awesome. And I've heard the training as well. Major shift and a way to manage your mind and your thoughts. Let's finish with a couple of BFOs. BFO is a blinding flash of the obvious, like a what aha did you take?
Could have had a V8, right? I could have had a V8.
There you go.
That's an old commercial.
Anyone? You can pop it in the chat box or jump on right now, just very succinctly.
Yes,
mine was.
Carolyn, Monday Zoom calls are open to everyone, so please share. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I really liked the bad plan carried out violently. Like, just do it even if it's not pretty, or even if you don't feel ready, just take the action.
There you go. Thank you. Another BFO. John. Anybody else?
I think for me, it was dig your heels and reinvent yourself.
Very good. Thanks, Melanie.
For me, it's just great to be with, 40 other business owners that are going through the same thing together and sharing community over how we make the best of where we are.
Thanks, Jim.
This is Bud. Just from the stories that were shared, there's an expression that I love that, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I'm sure that each one of us can kind of apply that to, our families, our businesses, kind of through this challenging, unique time.
Thank you, Bud.
A lot of people are saying shakeups are good, huge opportunity, break down barriers. Innovation lives in each of us. Serve, don't sell. So a plan violently executed doesn't mean you have to sacrifice quality to do it.
And
Any
then,
others?
for me, I just want to say thank you because I like to participate to a meeting in English. I'm French, but and teach French, and I feel more confident. And I'm happy to be in America, actually. I'm happy.
Also being merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Merci, Tom. Merci, Chuck.
And I just put a book in the chat that has been recommended to me probably 3 or 4 times from different people. Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain Order from Disorder. It's a great reinvention book. So you might want to pick up Anti-Fragile. It's a great thing to read during this time.
So as we end our call today, and I always have this little community piece, I was thinking about on our honeymoon, 18 years ago now, Tom and I went to the Redwood Forest. And we didn't have a formal tour guide, but there was a ranger there that explained to us that, first of all, like aspen trees in Colorado, the redwoods share their root system. So if a redwood has need, all the rest of the community share water and share resources. And those redwoods, in order to produce, similar to the phoenix bird, their pine cones drop and Mother Nature brings huge fires. And that's what activates the release of new redwoods. And so they really grow from something dead, from a dead tree or a fire. And so I just look again and say, how about if we get really excited about living in community? I had a business owner friend say to me, I'm really flourishing during this time and I feel bad. And I said, no, we need people to flourish, because the people who flourish give every one of the rest of us hope. And he was contributing to cutting the rent for his you know, renter and doing some other things to get his arm around businesses. And so we need to flourish so we can be that kind of Redwood community, sharing our resources and helping one another. So thanks for doing that on the call today with one another.
Thanks for being here with us. We always close with a quote, and mine today is, generosity of time, energy, and resources is the currency for this lockdown.
Very cool. Thanks, guys. Remember to ride the roller coaster down as fast as you can so you'll have more energy coming back out.
Thanks,
Sabine,
John.
Sabine, put
Thank you.
put your contact information in the chat box so we can connect.
Okay. Let's have a great week.
Yes, that
Thank
on-
you guys.
Thank you. Have a great week.